What's up, guys? Welcome back to Bartender's Book Club here on Barfly FreePour. Today we're going to be talking about Cocktail Codex. Now, I just want to FYI, just full disclosure, all right? I've been tasting cocktails all day long. It's been not a long day, but it has been a normal day of shooting, and I've been tasting. And I made one cocktail that was so tasty, I drank the whole thing. And so now I'm just saying this. If I'm a little bit rambly in this episode, you just got to give me that leeway, all right? Today we're talking about Cocktail Codex, which is I would say one of the most important books to come out in the last couple of years. It was written by Alex Day, Dave Kaplan, Nick Foschald, and with a good friend of mine, Devin Tarby, who used to work at the Varnish when I first started at Kohl's. He's a wonderful bartender. This book is, I think the first thing that I got to say about this book is that it's not really for beginners, although if you are a beginner, you would do yourself well to read this book. It is a book that is full of, I guess, really advanced technique, but also it has a lot of information that's really important. So if you are a bartender, then you will know that the premise of this book. The premise of this book is that each cocktail, like basically there are 6 cocktails that created sort of cocktail categories, right? So for instance, an old-fashioned is a cocktail in itself and a category. A martini is a cocktail in and of itself and a category. So basically the premise of this book is that there are only 6 of them, and then the multitude of cocktails that have been created have come out of the template of one of those 6 cocktails. I think every working bartender that's really serious about studying cocktails kind of knows that. But what's brilliant is that these guys actually printed it and gave it to the world. And so what I love about the way that this book is presented and the way that it is broken down is that each section of the book focuses on one category, and then they print all of their recipes for drinks that they made within that category. So they do an old-fashioned. I think the first category is the old-fashioned. They give you like a traditional old-fashioned, what it's supposed to be. Then they give their own most, I guess, prized recipe for an old-fashioned, right? And then they give you all of these different old-fashioned variations that they've created. And then in between those chapters, they have advanced technique little sections. So they talk about foaming. They talk about building a soda rig. They talk about bitters and how to assess them, and they talk about like alternative acids and like how you can put them into cocktails. It is a really brilliant book. It is very, very amazingly photographed. I really, really like the style of this book. So if you look in here, what's really nice about it is that they'll talk about like balancing things with sparkling water, or they'll talk about experimenting with that balance, and then like a lot of different cocktails that sort of kind of exemplify that idea. And I think that it's really beautifully laid out because it gives the beginner cocktail maker a very kind of easy to follow sort of ideas and techniques on how to break down cocktails. The one question that I get so much on our other channel, The Educated Barfly, is about how I start to create my own cocktails. How do I do it? And it can be kind of daunting because if you don't have a lot of technique and you don't know a lot of history on cocktails, then like really you just see a multitude of ingredients in there, and then like maybe putting ingredients together randomly, to try and make something good is daunting. That's a little intimidating, like how do I utilize all these things? But if you take a template like a martini, right, which is like 2 ounces of spirit. Well, it's like 2 ounces of your main spirit. Then you got 1 ounce of dry vermouth, right? You got some bitters in there. Then you kind of know like, okay, well, I can change the bitters to whatever I want. I can take that drying element, that dry vermouth, or that like herbal sort of like fortified wine, and I can make that any fortified wine I want, and I can change this the main spirit into anything that I want. Then it kind of is a little bit less daunting because you have that template to follow, and that's what this book does so beautiful. The other thing that it does is it gives you all of the classic drinks that it kind of fit into that category, and then it gives all of the different cocktails that they have made over the years for their bars like Death and Company. The one drawback that I would say to a lot of the recipes in here is that they use a lot of proprietary ingredients that may not be available. One of the main challenges on Barfly when making cocktails, one of the main challenges is that, or like the main challenges here, I guess, is that not every spirit that they use is going to be available worldwide. You know, if they use like Tempus Fugit, isn't necessarily available in France. And when you're using stuff like fortified wine and bitters that have proprietary herbal blends that make those flavor profiles, it's very difficult to find substitutions. And so a lot of the stuff that they use here, they use from companies that will only deal with people with, let's say, a wholesale license or something, is going to be a little bit difficult to source the ingredients. But what this book really does very beautifully is that it gives you so much inspiration. It talks a lot about flavor profiles and flavor matching and how to do that. I mean, I don't know if I can go any more in depth than just that, and how much I really like this book. The thing is that I've been bartending for over 10 years, and looking through this book, I find new ideas. I find flavors that I haven't really considered before. It gives me a lot of inspiration to create from. You know, most of the time when you're creating cocktails, you're taking somebody else's creation and sort of spinning it in your own way and adding your own ideas to it. And that's what makes it your own thing. It's that you take something that someone else made, or an idea that you like, or a flavor that you like, and you put your own spin on it. And that's what this book kind of endeavors to teach each person that reads it. It is a must read for every single person. I just want to flip through the book here and then just show you some of the amazing photography that is here. It's just fantastic. I mean, every drink looks so sexy. All of the ice is perfect. You know, all of the composition of each shot is really nice. It's very illustrative of what they're trying to teach you. And so I gotta say, you should go click the link below and get this book. I don't know if I can say any more than that. I don't know. Have I forgotten anything, Marius?
No, I think you covered it.
You got covered it all. Should I flip around a little bit? Me and Marius have been having a hard time having the close-ups on these things match what I'm doing in the wide. So we're kind of trying new things. We're still trying to dial this in. And also, I got a question for you guys. Actually, you guys can comment below since you guys are so good about commenting. Marius had this idea that we should invite the authors onto Barfly and maybe have a sit-down kind of extended chat with them. Is that something that you guys would be interested in? Would you guys want to watch like a 30-minute interview or something, just like sitting down with each author and really going in depth into each of the books and the inspiration behind the books?
I mean, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes, but... No,
well, what I said was like, oh, we should make it 10 minutes. And Marius was like, well, what if it's a great conversation? We wouldn't want to cut it off at 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying this, like, well, I've seen other interview shows on YouTube not do very well. So my question is, would our viewers would they tune in for that long? Why not just comment below and tell us? I'm just curious. I'm just curious to see how many people would be into that content. Because here's the thing, we can have I'm all for having the authors on. Absolutely. I would love to pick their brains myself. But that said, how long of a conversation should it be? I don't know.
It should be as long as it
takes.
As long as it takes that.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I like to kind of crowdsource ideas a little bit sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's all I got to say about that. Yeah. So here we are, Cocktail Codex.
Go read it.
This is the second book from the same authors. I wanted to do this book first because I think it's a little bit more important than the first book. The first book is really great as well, but this book is something that I think you guys should all be reading. Every single person who is trying to create cocktails at home, anyone who's taking it seriously, anyone who's trying to work in a bar, anyone who's trying to make a career as a bartender, anyone who's trying to open a bar should read this book. All of the information is completely relevant, and it is definitely something that you guys should be reading. So with that, I will just say, Marius is like, it's 20 minutes, just get over it. Okay, so I'll just say, if you like our channel, please hit like and subscribe, and check us out on Patreon. I got a Patreon for Educated Barfly, and we do some pretty cool stuff there, so you should check that out, and I'll see you guys in another time.